Vote counting is underway in the UK's election, but the biggest development is that Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has conceded defeat, although he managed to hold on to his own seat. Results are still incoming, but they point towards a big victory for the opposition Labour Party, as predicted by the pre-election polls. There are 650 seats up for grabs, and British media are predicting that Labour will win 410, which would give the party led by Keir Starmer a huge majority in Parliament. The Conservatives look likely to end up with around 144 seats. The Liberal Democrat Party will make some gains, and the Populist Reform UK Party is also set to enter Parliament. Let's talk about all of that with Keir, who joins us here in the studio. I'm watching live pictures of Keir Starmer coming in right now, but I want to start by the concession from Rishi Sunak. What exactly did he say?
Well, Rishi Sunak was at his vote count in North Yorkshire, and unusually for a UK Prime Minister, he made a very public concession speech, despite the fact that he did win the majority and holds on to his parliamentary seat. Let's just take a listen to what Rishi Sunak had to say.
People will be waking up to the news, relieved.
Let's actually listen in to what Keir Starmer has to say first, if I could ask for that audio to be pulled up.
The shoulders of this great nation. And now we can look forward, walk into the morning, the sunlight of hope, pale at first, but getting stronger through the day, shining once again on a country with the opportunity after 14 years to get its future back.
His future back, Craig. I want to pull back a bit to talk a bit more about Keir Starmer. We have seen his push for change, and he has said that this is the Labour Party's time to perform. But how clear has the Labour Party's agenda been so far?
There's been a lot of criticism of Keir Starmer and the Labour Party during this campaign, of people talking about the retail offer on the doorstep not being very revolutionary. But if we look at these projected results tonight, that seems to have paid off for Keir Starmer. People seem to have decided that what they were offering is enough. Throughout the campaign, there's been this talk of Keir Starmer having this Ming-Va strategy, and all he had to do was carry it across the line without breaking it, without upsetting anybody. And it does appear that this evening that has been enough for people.
Right, and we weren't able to pull up that Sunak soundbite you were referring to, but just to touch upon the concession that we saw there, we saw him take complete responsibility for what happened to the Labour Party, for the Conservative Party, excuse me. But that's quite a flip. 14 years in power and this landslide loss. What caused that?
Look, I think there's two things going on here. First of all, when any party has been in power for a significant length of time, the public has a sense of fatigue. But what that doesn't explain is the size of the Labour majority, which they appear to have won this evening. That really comes from a sense of the public feeling betrayed and angry about the behaviour of Conservative politicians in government over the last particularly 5 or 6 years. And that's thinking back to Boris Johnson and Partygate and Liz Truss's brief premier when she crashed the economy. And then Rishi Sunak simply did not have the political acumen, the political skill to turn the ship around and steer them to a win at this general election.
So Labour under the spotlight right now with that big landslide, Conservatives admitting defeat, all the things that went wrong there. Let's turn our attention to the UK's Reform Party. We know that Nigel Farage has finally won a seat.
He has. This is the 8th time that Nigel Farage has been contending for a seat in Parliament, and he has actually won. That will be good news for Nigel Farage, though if we look at how many seats they're projected to win, the news is not so healthy. They're projected to win around 4 seats, we think, at the moment. But if we look at their percentage of vote share, then they're looking around 15% at the moment. So they're picking up much more in terms of percentage of the votes than they are seats. So I think there'll be a huge conversation about the voting system moving forward. But for today, for tonight, this is a personal victory for Nigel Farage, if not a huge move for the Reform Party.
Honestly, those numbers are moving so fast, I almost feel like we're unable to keep up with them. But speaking of those numbers, another party that has won more than the Reform Party but has actually taken a big hit is the Scottish National Party.
Indeed. We think the Scottish National Party are on course to win around 10 seats this evening, and that's down from the high 40s in the last election, so losing around 30 seats. And the Scottish National Party have really had quite a terrible year. They've changed leaders twice. There've been police investigations. And I think really what this indicates is that the idea of Scotland becoming independent at any point in the near future is now simply not on the cards.
I think I'm hearing that we finally have that Rishi Sunak sort lined up. You, of course, walked us through what happened in there, but let's take a listen.
The Labour Party has won this general election, and I have called Sir Keir Starmer to congratulate him on his victory. Today, power will change hands in a peaceful and orderly manner, with goodwill on all sides. That is something that should give us all confidence in our country's stability and future. The British people have delivered a sobering verdict tonight. There is much to learn and reflect on, and I take responsibility for the loss.
A sobering verdict and responsibility for the loss, as we've talked about. But I want to zoom out here while I have you with me and talk about the relationship the UK has with the EU. It's been a rocky time in the Conservative term. Is that set to change now?
Look, Keir Starmer said yesterday, or 2 days ago, in fact, now, that he does not foresee the United Kingdom rejoining the European Union in his lifetime. However, Labour have made a point that they need to get growth going in the UK, and that will only come with a closer relationship to the European Union. So do I see the relationship between the UK and the European Union becoming closer over the next few years under a Labour Prime Minister with a Labour Party? Absolutely. Does that indicate that we might be rejoining the bloc? I think absolutely not.
All right, so a concession speech or victory speech, what comes next in the coming hours?
So Rishi Sunak may have conceded, Keir Starmer may have done a victory speech, but officially still we have to wait until the Labour Party tip over this Rubicon of 326 seats, which will officially give them a majority. Then in the morning, Rishi Sunak will make a visit to the palace, where he will officially tender his resignation to the King, who's the head of state, swiftly followed by Keir Starmer, who will go, be asked to form a government, return to Downing Street and make his first speech to the nation as the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
A busy night in the UK and a busy morning coming up. Thank you so much for keeping track of all of that for us. DW's Craig Crowther.